The professional services industry here is very capable of assisting someone in setting up your business. They're very experienced with a lot of capacity and knowledge, opportunity for an employer to choose among professionals and qualified people. I would say the fact that Cyprus has been an international business center for so many years, people here have created a culture and have convinced over time the ease of doing business, making sure that the right kind of business is in Cyprus. In terms of setting up a company, it's quite straightforward.
Welcome to another episode in our series, Moving to Expatland, the journey to Cyprus. Today, it's my pleasure to be joined by Theo Theodoulou, a director from Kreston ITH in Nicosia, Cyprus. Good afternoon, Theo. Welcome to the show.
Good afternoon, John. Thank you for the invitation.
Most welcome. So, Theo, please tell us a little bit about your personal journey and how you came to be working with ITH.
So, John, my personal journey started from my studies in the UK, in the Midlands, in Nottingham University. And then I moved to London, where I worked with Moore Stevens. In the end of 2013, beginning of 2014, I joined our family business, which is Kreston ITH.
Cool. So tell us a bit more about ITH and what services it can offer someone moving to Cyprus.
So Kreston ITH is an accountancy firm. So anything that has to do with business outsource, we are able to undertake. And we also have the tax compliance, either being direct or indirect tax. And the past couple of years, we've set up a very strong team on financial and business advisory and assisting in relocation services for both businesses and individuals.
Thank you. I have been to Cyprus a number of times, and whenever I've come, it's always been a glorious island to visit. What are some of the issues expats will face moving home and settling into Cyprus?
I would struggle to think of a lot of issues, but there are certain things that someone would need to have in mind when relocating to Cyprus. I think I would say as an issue, which probably, John, you have also noticed, is that there's a lack of public transportation. So someone should be aware of the fact that they need to drive. In terms of immigration, it really depends if you're a third country national or European citizen. And again, that's where you need to obtain in advance proper advice from a qualified service provider in Cyprus, as it could be quite difficult to enter the island unless you know all the entry requirements.
Got it. And what would the time frame be in terms of applying if you're a third country national? How long should somebody plan ahead to try and get permission to move there, Theo?
It really depends. I'm not sure if you're aware, but Cyprus is not part of the Schengen visa. So that's, I would say, one of the issues someone should consider when they're looking into applying for a visa. If you're a European citizen, you don't need an approval to enter the island. That's quite straightforward. Now, in terms of working as a European citizen, you need to apply within 4 months of entering the island for a permit to work, which is a special scheme under the immigration. If you are not a European citizen, being a third country national, again, it depends whether you are being employed under a Cypriot employer in Cyprus. I would give a 6-month heads up if someone wanted to move here. It's best where certain prerequisites that need to be met. And again, it really depends on the country they're coming from, because there are special agreements between our government and certain third countries on employment, visa, etc. So we have to know the specific country they're coming from so we can advise more precisely.
Got it. And does Cyprus have an open real estate market?
Of course, one of the key contributors to our GDP is real estate in Cyprus. Mm-hmm. In order to be able to acquire property here, you would have to undergo AML and KYC requirements for sending the funds to a Cypriot bank in order to initiate the transaction.
Yeah, let's just touch on the bank account opening. Is there some bureaucracy associated with opening a bank account?
Yeah, I would say banking these days is not the most straightforward, but that's, from our experience, this is not just a Cyprus problem. It's a worldwide problem. depends on your country of citizenship and whether you can provide the information required by bank here.
Got it.
If you have an employment contract here, it becomes more straightforward to open a personal bank account. I would give someone a month to open a personal bank account.
And your firm can help people through that process?
Of course, our firm is an introducer and provider to the majority of the banks in Cyprus and to their international business units. One of our key core strengths is banking here, so we can assist individuals opening bank accounts.
And tell us, in terms of the business culture, what are some of the do's and don'ts or I should be aware of?
I would say the fact that Cyprus has been an international business center for so many years, people here have created a culture and have convinced over time the ease of doing business.
Yep.
Obviously, making sure that the right kind of business is in Cyprus. In terms of setting up a company, it's quite straightforward.
What are the best things about setting up a business in Cyprus?
The professional services industry here is very capable of assisting someone in setting up your business. They're very experienced with a lot of capacity and knowledge. Opportunity for an employer to choose among professionals and qualified people. The vast options for double tax treaties between various countries is a big incentive for setting our business here, especially if Cyprus is being used as a hub for selling or doing business out of Cyprus, especially using it as a hub for Europe. And the past couple of years has introduced a lot of incentives for businesses relocating their staff here. I feel that it's this new era where the government is pushing for the relocation and the headquartering. They see the benefit because as I said, a multicultural country where people like to relocate here with their families. The lifestyle, the way we work here, the standards here, it's a combined and all-rounded opportunity for someone to set up a business here.
Thank you. And in terms of government incentives, are there any schemes you'd like to tell the listener about how the government can help somebody come and establish their business in Cyprus?
Yeah, on a personal level, there's two key incentives that a lot of people look after and they decide to relocate here. First of all, and there's significant tax deductions given to someone who decides to relocate here. These deductions could reach up to 50% of your pay as your tax obligations, which is quite significant compared to other European countries. Subject to that, you are a tax resident here, which implies that you need to spend a minimum of 60 days in Cyprus and not 183 days in any other countries. It's a scheme that obviously helps business people who travel a lot, want to have their family here and their base here. So that's quite a big incentive that we see these days. Over the past couple of years, the government has also introduced the non-domicile tax residency opportunity for people who have not been domiciled in Cyprus, where essentially you're exempt from passive income tax, which we call the National Guard contribution tax, which is quite a significant amount, especially on dividends. We're talking about 17% savings on this, which is quite a big incentive. These two combined are quite strong, and it gives you a very decent tax efficiency, both on employment income and passive income, assuming you are here. In terms of the businesses, we still have one of the lowest corporation tax regimes in Europe. There is a lot of incentives given to businesses, especially on the technology industry, where the intellectual property box in Cyprus can give you a significant tax credit on your R&D, assuming you have your team set up in Cyprus, which is, I think, one of the most important incentives that they are giving at the moment. And also, there are other tax incentives for companies set up in here, especially on introduction of new share capital into businesses. You get what we call a national interest deduction, which is an additional tax credit on your tax computation, assuming you inject capital in the company for obviously working capital or investment purposes. There's actually a lot of incentives, which I think would take a lot of time to discuss, but these are the key that I would focus on if I was to consider setting up here.
Theo, just on taxation, does Cyprus have a capital gains tax or a death duty?
Of course. So capital gains tax, there's only capital gains tax on sale of real estate based in Cyprus. But if you were to hold the shares in a company and you would sell the shares of that company, then the gain is completely tax-free. So that's a significant advantage for someone wanting to set up a holding company, say, in Cyprus. Inheritance tax, there's no inheritance tax. So that's another massive advantage if someone wants to relocate here, especially with their family. So there's no inheritance tax between first degree relatives. So transferring to my kids or to my wife has no tax implications.
For a business person moving to Cyprus, perhaps you could give our listeners some sense of what it's like on the paperwork side of things, Theo.
Look, the importance, and from our experience, is choosing the right service provider. The right service provider can save you a lot of time, and this comes because of the experience the service provider has with the local authorities. From the feedback we receive from our clients and the way the international way of business is, things are pretty fast in most of the governmental departments. But again, having a trusted partner here is essential to make sure that you avoid any pitfalls that you're not aware of when moving here.
Thank you. So in terms then of Expatland and the Expatland E-team, how do you think the group of professionals working together in Cyprus would be able to help an expat moving to Cyprus?
First of all, it's a great initiative and a great opportunity. I consider it as a one-stop shop for someone who wants to relocate here. Obviously, a group of experts. So as I said, you need to be able to have a trusted service provider who knows exactly from A to Z what someone requires to relocate here. And I'm sure that the group of experts that will be set up in Cyprus as an E-team would have all the qualifications, the knowledge to assist anyone wanting to relocate here, from the small to the quite big decisions. So from renting an apartment to getting your bank account opened, assisting with your utility bills set up, finding a car to rent, getting school for your kids, from kindergarten to university, getting to know people around the area, because as you are aware, the Cypriots are quite friendly and welcoming. And this is why Cyprus is also a key destination for tourism. I mean, there was a record of tourism attending prior to pandemic, close to 4.5 million. So that's quite a big number. So you can appreciate most of us live from welcoming people here.
Thank you. And moving to a little bit more about Theo, and what are some of the things you do away from work, and tell people what some of your hobbies are.
I would say my most important hobby is cooking. I love cooking. I am a fanatic of good food, even though my personal preferences go beyond, obviously, the local cuisine. And I am also a football fan.
What tips would you provide for an expat family moving to Cyprus about settling in and making friends?
It really depends, first of all, on the nationality, because as I said, there's a trend these days that there are certain communities based in different cities. So if you were to go to Limassol, there's a big, as I said, Russian and Ukrainian community. If you were to go in Larnaca, there's a big Israeli and Lebanese community. In Nicosia, it's a bit more of a blend. So the first tip I would give someone is to ask where, depending on where they're coming from, to ask where people from their community are based. Even though, as I said, the Cypriots are very open-minded and very multicultural, so getting to know people is quite easy. I have actually personally a lot of friends who've relocated here, and they found it very easy to make friends and meet people. So I'd be very surprised if someone was to struggle with getting to know people around here.
Is it easy to find access to international schools in Cyprus?
Yeah, you'd be amazed how many high-quality international schooling there is in Cyprus, all over the island, in all cities. Again, because of the need to service people from other communities relocating here, I would say there's establishment from kindergarten to universities of high-level education, mainly English-speaking. We do find certain schooling that's more customized in terms of the language, I would say French or Russian, but that's more limited compared to the other schools. And the higher level education is quite important here. The government has invested. I mean, education is now contributing significantly to our GDP. There's a lot of opportunities for people to study here. And we see, again, that's another thing that we see on relocation. There's a big wave of students, international students, coming to Cyprus to study, which is a great opportunity for someone looking to obviously spend some time here and study at the same time.
Thank you. Perhaps you could tell us how someone can engage and become a client of Kreston ITH.
So the easiest way to get in touch with us, obviously, it's our website. We have all the information required to contact partners and obviously the service line you're looking for. And on our website, you can also find our emails, LinkedIn page, even direct lines for the partners. We're accessible at any given time. So I would say that's the easiest way to get in touch with us.
Thank you, Theo, for your time today in telling us about the journey to Cyprus. It was great. See you all next time in our next podcast, Moving to Expatland.